It is the end of an era. The Walt Disney Company is no longer the #1 studio when it comes to movies worldwide. 2023 saw Universal defeating Disney. It has not happened very often. Ever since the Disney Renaissance, the Walt Disney Company has dominated the box office all over the globe. Now, folks are beginning to wonder, is it even possible for Disney to come back from this? We will show you why. This is likely more than a one-year blip, no matter what the media might say. You don't want to miss this one. Hang tight, folks. Let's get into it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the WDW Pro channel, where we are excited to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and make Hollyweird make sense once more. Even if it cannot make dollars, we'll at least get some sense out of it. Joining us to help do so is Derek Anderson, the DA. Sir, welcome back to the channel.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Pro. Looking forward to this topic. This ought to be a lot of fun.
Oh, this will be fun, folks. You do not want to miss it. And Derek, I'm coming live from the Mecum car auction. It's a giant auction in Kissimmee, Florida. Folks, I'm here to tell you there is fun to be had all across this great nation of ours if you live in the United States and beyond as well. Go out there and have some fun. I'm amazed by the people who are enjoying their passion of cars here, and I'm looking forward to bringing member-exclusive content covering this topic and showing video and all of that, so I can't wait to do that, and mostly get back to showing people having a great time. It's out there, and we need to be doing that. Disney not having a great time, though, and let's get into the topic at hand. This out of The Hollywood Reporter by Pamela McClintock. We love Pam! 2023 box office, Disney cedes global market share crown to Universal after years of domination. Folks, remember, everybody says, well, Pro's just so negative about Disney. Look, Disney has dominated. Now they no longer are even in first place. It's like going from a dynasty to being runner-up. And the thing here, too, is if I had been doing this channel since, let's say, 2012, there would have been years I'd have been extremely positive about Disney. I just came in at the exact time that Disney did really stupid things, but let's get to it. Universal's releases generated an estimated $4.91 billion in movie ticket sales at the global box office compared to $4.82 billion for Disney. Universal's film empire is taking a major bow after placing #1 in market share in the 2023 global box office, a feat no studio has been able to pull off since Disney rose to dominance in 2016. And let it be said that Disney was claiming that #1 spot often and frequently before 2016. Absolutely. The 24 movies released by Universal generated an estimated $4.91 billion in worldwide ticket sales, compared to an estimated $4.83 billion from the 17 titles released by Disney in what made for a relatively close race both in North America and at the foreign box office. Even a week ago, no one in Hollywood was sure Universal would prevail, especially overseas. Now, what is not included in this necessarily, in this article, but I think it bears repeating and it bears conversation, and so we'll give it the due diligence it deserves. Derek, when it comes to profitability, that's where we really need to be talking, because not only did Disney come in second place, but based on their insane budgets, we believe that the Walt Disney Company lost something like $1.3 to $1.5 billion total at the box office in 2023. Universal taking that first place spot and definitely not losing money like that. Universal kept their budgets in check, and so we think that Universal actually made a profit at the box office. And frankly, that really, really matters, no matter what James Mangold might say. Derek, what do you make of the idea that Disney, that this is an end of an era, that they may not come back from this?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, Pro, because we got to look at where does Disney go from here? As I was asking just before we started, where do they go to for their, for their money? Where do they go? Do they go to Marvel? Well, Marvel's been failing. Do they go to, Pixar in the animated stuff? No, that's all been failing as well. Do they go to Star Wars? We know where Star Wars is at right now. Disney
You're saying the Ray movie is not The Ray movie is not the way out. It's not the promised land, Derek.
There's nothing there. There's no lifeline for Disney to latch onto. Disney princesses. We just saw what happened with The Little Mermaid last year. Little Mermaid bombed in the box office. So everything that they're trying, and then of course we know what's going to happen with this Snow White movie that's going to come up. That's going to be an absolute disaster. Disney has nowhere to go right now for, just, okay, let's go ahead and get an easy win. Let's go ahead and just get a slam dunk win. Let's get back into the black. They have nowhere to go right now because they have absolutely destroyed all of their major brands. Disney has 4 of the top 5 major IPs across the globe, and they have destroyed every last one of them to the point now, oh, well, I guess we can churn out all of these films. And here's the other thing that the graphic didn't, or that the article didn't talk about. Yeah, Disney only put out, what, 17 films, and they got close to where Universal made. So you say, oh, well, 17 films, not too shabby compared to Universal's 24. But how much did they spend on those films? Because that's the thing that you were referring to, profitability. How much are they spending to make these 17 films? Every Disney film that comes out is $250 million in budget, and then marketing. And they're not making any money off of this. So this is a disaster for Disney of epic proportions. I don't know how they climb out of this mess, because right now they've destroyed Star Wars. Star Wars that's coming out. Nobody's interested in Star Wars right now. Nobody's interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They had to push pause on the Marvel Cinematic Universe just to try to see what they're going to do and how they're going to fix things with the Kang Dynasty that may or may not be the Kang Dynasty anymore. And then they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with the Marvels, Secret Wars, all of these various properties. They don't know what they're going to do. Echo's coming out in a couple of days. That looks like that's going to be terrible. So Disney had to push pause and say, let's get Marvel right. We got to fix Star Wars. Oh my gosh, we got Pixar. Goodness gracious, what are we going to do? How are we going to get this thing back into the black? They have no idea. And I don't either, Meanwhile,
and
Universal is doing everything right. What's that?
That's why we should all pause. And I recommend everybody do this. This is not because I just want to be overtly negative about Disney. That's not my intention. I'm not trying to sway people against reality. But what I'm suggesting is that the anticipation that we will go back to status quo and Disney will rise to the throne once more.
Oh no.
I think that's presumptuous. I don't think that's a given at all. And let's take a look at why. Going back to the article for a moment, here's the quote from ComScore chief box office analyst Paul D. We've seen his name come back up again over and over, and folks, I just don't even attempt any longer. Universal seems to have found the perfect balance of franchise films, animation, horror, and everything in between, and these assets are given every possible advantage with a pitch-perfect strategy that combines great filmmaker relationships, fantastic marketing, and a rock-solid distribution plan. Here's the key, though. Read this. This paragraph, I think, sums up where we are today. Universal's slate includes titles from Universal Pictures proper, Specialty Division, Focus Features, Illumination, and DreamWorks Animation. Illumination is home of Super Mario, i.e. the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, which earned $1.36 billion globally. And by the way, why would they stop? Why would they keep making them? It doesn't have to be Mario, it could be anything.
Yeah.
It ranked number 2 for the year behind Warner's Barbie. The film shattered numerous records, including becoming the number 2 animated film of all time behind Disney's Frozen. And 2023's Fast X delivered $704.9 million in box office grosses to give Universal 3 of the 5 top grossing films of the year. Now, to be fair, we think Fast X, with its insane budget, actually lost money. But Mario did not. Mario makes up for a whole lot because Mario had a budget around or below $200 million. So when you have a budget below $200 million and you make $1.36 billion, you've cleared it easily. Langley, who also keeps Blumhouse CEO Jason Blum close, has always insisted on a diverse slate of films in addition to franchise fare. Five Nights at Freddy's scared up $290.9 million against a $20 million budget.
Man.
Wow.
So think about this, Pro. So you're talking about new IP, hitting the marketplace for the first time with Mario, new IP hitting the marketplace for the first time with Five Nights at Freddy. I think they mentioned Megan in there. Brand new IP you can tap into. Who knows where that's going to go? Versus Disney and what Disney has on their end, which is a bunch of retread, rehash, remake, reboot, sequelitis. That's what Disney is hoping to bank on. And if anything 2023 showed us is that everybody is tuned out. Completely tuned out from these overdone franchises that have been in the oven cooking way too long. They said, look, get this thing out of here. Give me something new. Give me something fresh. I want brand new material. I want brand new content. That's what 2023's box office showed us, not just with Disney, but across the board. Because you saw Fast X, as they just talked about, that didn't make any money. I don't think that made any money at all. So yeah, I think that that's the thing that Disney doesn't have that right now Universal has stepped into. It says, hey, look, we got fresh franchises right here that nobody's really seen on the big screen before. You know, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, I think that is going to be one of the biggest franchises for the next decade. And
I think it's the next
Nintendo's right
Marvel.
here. It's going to destroy Marvel. It's going to completely
Yeah.
run right past Marvel because it's fresh. It's new. It's something that people haven't seen before, and it's extraordinarily popular already because of the video game. Video games are still the number one entertainment option for a lot of people in the world. So I think right now Universal has set itself up very nicely for a while, and they're still doing brand new properties, fresh properties. They're not afraid to take risks. And they're smart with their money. See, Disney is not budget conscious like Universal is. $20 million, Five Nights at Freddy, that's perfect. And then it goes on to make almost $300 million. That's what Disney needs to do, but where are they going to get that from? What franchises and properties are they going to tap into? They've already destroyed everything that they have. So I don't know where Disney goes from here. It's going to be very interesting to watch this thing play out.
So, Derek, you brought up Nintendo, and I would say, too, folks, we're going to be covering where the consumers have gone, because it's not as if consumers simply evaporated into thin air. They went somewhere, and those places seem to be Nintendo and Epic Games. People, especially young people, have left the theaters and they've gone to video games. And we're going to talk about which companies are winning later on in the week. But Derek, I've never asked you about this in particular.
Mm-hmm.
One of the strategies that the Walt Disney Company employed, in my estimation, for 2023 was, in light of movies that surely they knew were technically and fundamentally poorly made, right? Whether it was bad CGI or bad scripts or bad soundtracks, they knew that these films were not up to their quality standards. And the strategy to defend against that seemed to have been to use racial issues, gender issues, sex, all of that sort of thing as a shield against criticism. That seems to have incited a market backlash that they probably were not anticipating. What do you think in terms of Disney going forward? How do they get this formula right, if they're ever going to get anything right? And that's no guarantee. But how do they get this right where they need to do a good job, including people of all different varieties and walks of life?
Sure.
But they don't need to do it in a way that is obnoxious. And they have been obnoxious. What's the correct word?
Obnoxious isn't the word that I would use. But yes, they absolutely
Vitriolic,
need to get a
venomous,
hold of their
cruel
messaging. No, very cruel, and very ridiculous. They need to get a hold of their messaging in the worst way, because right now that's the thing that's really hurting a lot of their efforts. They're trying to put out Marvel films, but the first thing they want to highlight is, oh, you know, there's a woman at the helm and it's a black woman. Oh, and then we have this race involved and that race involved. And that's like, wait, time out. We want good content. That's all we care about. Focus on the good content. You know, we just saw Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy for the director for the next Rey film. She's coming out, and the first thing out of her mouth, not talking about her love for Star Wars, not talking about how much she is excited to be a part of a great franchise built by the great George Lucas. That's not what she wants to say. She says it's about time a woman got to helm a Star Wars film. And it's like, okay, see, you've already started off on the wrong track. You got to start talking about the film that you're going to make, how you are excited, how much of a Star Wars aficionado you have been your entire life, and how you can't wait to dive into this universe and make something great for the fans, because this is what the fans are waiting for. That's the kind of messaging that needs to be coming from Disney, from Marvel, from Star Wars, Lucasfilm, everybody. But they keep just giving us, you know, the opposite of that, you know.
Well,
and you've been talking about.
Eric.
Go ahead.
Here's the mistake. And this I think applies to everybody out there. It applies to me. It applies to you. When you are given an opportunity to do something great, okay, if you're giving a role that you really, you know, this is something that is the life's dream of many people, okay, if that station of life ever arrives at your doorstep, the correct way to handle that is to do the absolute best job that you possibly can.
Yes.
And then if you are so fortunate as to be successful, then you take that chance to say, It's a wonderful thing to be the first. Let's say you're the first woman, for listeners out there, who's done
Sure.
something great in a particular area. So then that would be the time that she comes out. So if she has a great movie, let's say it breaks $1 billion and it's critically acclaimed, then she comes out and she says, "What an honor to be the first woman to have directed a Star Wars film and for it to have been received so well. This has been a great blessing, and I'm so happy to blaze the trail for women,
Oh
an
yeah.
innumerable amount of women who will come behind me." That's the way to handle it. The incorrect way to handle almost anything in life is to begin crowing about yourself before you have produced the thing which you have been requested to produce. Because if you fail, you have already set the standard so that people are going to be very frustrated with you beyond what they would have been otherwise. That's my take on it anyway.
No, I think you're 100% correct. It was one of the problems that I had with the backlash from the Marvels and Nia DaCosta, and how, everything became, well, you didn't like the movie because you're a this or you're a that. Instead of just saying, well, if I didn't do a good job with the movie, I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll do a better job on the next one. And, looking forward to the next opportunity that I get, instead of keeping it in that, realm, they decide to go, oh, well, you don't like me, you don't like women, you don't like black people. That's where they decided to take this discussion. And that's not where people were taking it at all. It's just not a movie that worked for me. And that's where all of these actors and writers and directors, especially with Disney, because this is the problem that Disney seems to have over and above. And maybe it's because they have a lot of big franchises that the spotlight is on them more than other studios. Okay, granted. But because you have that spotlight, you have to be very careful about how you speak, especially when speaking to your audience, because your audience is the one that's going to put money in your pockets. And right now we see that, Disney audiences tuned out completely. There are so many failures in 2023. It's just hard to imagine one studio having this many problems. And, it's not just, from the ideological side, it's just from a narrative standpoint. I've been hearing you discussing Indiana Jones and the failure that film was.
Heroic, says James Mangold. Heroic that Disney wanted to lose that much money.
But think about this, Pro. Think about this. What if they had gone with the original short round concept? What if short round was indeed in Dial of Destiny? What would you have done?
That's $1 billion, Derek.
It's a $1 billion film. So not only that,
mistake.
Not only that, Pro, but now you still have Ke Kwan in the hopper for maybe a future spinoff of Short Round. A lot of people are saying, man, I would love to see a Short Round movie. And he kind of takes up the mantle from Indiana Jones. And now maybe you have an excitement brewing for another 5, 6, 7 films from Short Round. Who knows?
And
or a series or
he
something.
And Harrison Ford. You saw the connection behind the scenes when.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine the joy that Harrison Ford would have had?
Everybody would have been on board for that, Pro. Are you kidding me?
Why do we do this to
Everybody. But of course, we're going to go with Helena Shaw. Why? Ideology. That's why. So they're making choices over there at Disney.
Kathleen again.
Yeah, Kathleen, with the Pander Stone. They're making decisions and choices that are mind-boggling and that completely go against everything that the fans are asking for. And so the fans have just started to tune out. They're saying, okay, well, what's going on over here at Universal? Oh, you guys have something great going on over here at Universal. I love this. Oh, look, you got Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was a great film. Okay, let's go ahead and throw our money into that. Let's go ahead and get ready for the Super Nintendo world. Over at Epic Universe, Universal has everything lined up perfectly to take down Disney in every way conceivable. And Disney did it to themselves. That's the thing I want everybody to remember. Disney, you absolutely did this to yourselves. You can't blame the fans for this. You can't really even blame, Universal, because Universal doesn't have the kind of properties that you have. They don't have the IP that you have. You have Marvel, you have Star Wars, you have the legacy of Pixar, you have the legacy of Walt Disney and the animation that has come out of this studio, and you have absolutely botched it and bungled it to the point where on the 100th year of Walt Disney, Wish comes out and it's a box office disaster. And I mean, it's just an amazing thing when you just sit back and look at it. They're going to write books about this one, Pro. I can't wait to read them. I'm telling you.
It's crazy karma. It's definitely not crazy kudos, because, people such as ourselves, we declared at the beginning of this year, this is not going to go well. The
No, no,
analysts, the
no.
official analysts out there, and we covered this in the pro show, declared as recently as April that this was going to be a $32 billion box office year around the world. Turns out we probably didn't even reach $20 billion, and that's because the analysts simply do not have the foresight and the understanding of the market such as what they need. Now, what is the ramification of all of this, and why do we say that Disney may not come back? You know, some out there may say, surely Disney will come back. Well, here take a look at this. This is out of Deadline, releasing yesterday from Dade Hayes, Wall Street analyst known as movie theater bull. That means very pro theater, not pro as in myself, but very positive towards the theater, turns increasingly cautious on stock performance in a down box office year. B. Riley analyst Eric Wold, and we'll hide that, who has stayed generally bullish on the movie theater business despite its recent trials, is now warning investors that the arrival of a down box office year has made him increasingly cautious. In a note to clients about his 2024 outlook, Wold wrote that he expects the stock performance of many companies in the sector to remain lackluster given the thinning of the overall release slate. About $1 billion in projected box office revenue has shifted from 2024 to 2025, he estimates, in large part due to the impact of the dual strikes of 2023. But I would also suggest, Derek, that it's because Disney, which has subsidized such a vast amount of the box office in the years past, that Disney has vacated their place of dominance. And there's nothing to replace that. Universal with Nintendo Cinematic Universe can in the future, but as of this coming year, or this year that we're in right now, I'm getting used to calling it 2024 already. But there's nothing to fill the gap. So take a look. We're looking right now at the slate of movies coming out. Far fewer than normal. And if you want to know how far fewer, we'll take a look at the month of April. Godzilla versus Kong. That's it. That's the only big release in April. That's it. So
It's unbelievable.
I don't remember a time in history.
It's really mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And how many Disney projects are in here? How many?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. So take a look at this, Derek. Now, we're not going to talk about Fox, but that will be part of the Disney umbrella. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's set that aside and let's come back to that in another video because that's important. But we're not going to ignore it. But for right now, let's just handle Disney proper. If we look at Disney proper, June 14th. So there's nothing for the first 6 months of the year, and then on June 14th we will get Inside Out 2, which at this point, given their animation track record, is no guarantee. It's also no guarantee because they have a new character that this film will be centered around, and that is anxiety.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Well, Derek, you can imagine that's kind of a hard sell to say to parents, hey, you need to come get these new toys and plushies for your child. Okay, so what's my child going to be hugging before they go to bed at night? Oh, well, it's anxiety. Oh. And then, okay, so then we do have what I anticipate will be an absolute winner. Deadpool 3, July 26th. The problem here is that while I think it will be an absolute winner, and it will reinvigorate Marvel and have some people hoping that it might be able to make a comeback, the problem is it's coming out July 26th. So it's competing with tax-free weekends all over the country where families will spend their money on getting back to school supplies, and then it goes into August when the kids are back at school. Now, it's an R-rated film, so maybe it will still be fine. We don't know. I think it'll do great. I really do, but it's not optimal. This should have released July 4th. They can't get it out that quickly. And then talking about how bad this is, December 20th, Mufasa will go up against Sonic 3. Now, I don't know which movie wins there because I don't know the quality of Mufasa. That said, it will only have 11 days in 2024 to generate revenue. What I'm suggesting is that this will be the worst year in modern history for the Walt Disney Company for Disney proper movies. There's never been a year that will even come close to touching how bad this will be.
I can't imagine.
This will be terrible.
I can't imagine how bad it's going to be. And I've been around a while, and I've seen a lot of Disney years where, I mean, they just dominated the box office and just swept the mat with everyone. And this is lackluster. This is just, I'm amazed at how little they have coming out next year and how much this thing, I mean, they are really going to suffer. They're going to suffer in the box office. And it just begs the question, like, like I said at the beginning, where do they go? Where are they going to go in the future? Like right now, 2024, that's in the books. What's coming out is coming out. And it's very lackluster. It's 3 films. Basically, that's all we have, aside from the Fox stuff, which we know. But 3 Disney films, major films, are coming out. That tells me everything that I need to know when it comes to this studio and where it needs to go, or where it's not going to go going forward.
And
But
Derek,
yeah, I'm
let's
just
head off an
surprised.
argument. Let's head off an argument that I think some people might make, but I'm not sure that it's true. The argument might be made that, well, the strikes are what have limited or have limited Disney to only 3 films, Disney proper again. And
Mhm.
what I would say back to that is that no, that's actually not the case, because they had planned to release the new Captain America film during
Yeah.
2024. The problem was that when they screened it, it was terrible. And
Yeah,
so
they have
we
to reshoot it. Yeah.
right, so we anticipate that they're reshooting the entire film. Now they have said otherwise, so we want to put that out there.
Yep.
But they have when they discuss how they're reshooting it, they discuss it in a way that leads us to believe that the vast majority of the film is being reshot.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's so they're doing a hard reset. That
And
is
they
the
and they're also
biggest
doing that with,
declaration of
well, I was gonna say they're also doing that with Snow White. Snow White was supposed
yes,
to come out next year as
that's
well,
exactly right.
but they have to reshoot that whole thing because they got the backlash. They heard how people felt about, well, are these magical creatures? Are these dwarves? We don't know. And then, and now we have this loudmouth actress kind of, dropping a poison pill into this whole thing. So they need to wait for some of that heat to die all the way down. Hopefully, I don't think it'll ever die down 100%, but they need to wait for some of the heat from this past summer to die down off of Rachel Zegler before they release that film. Because if they release that film this coming March, I guarantee you that box office would go nowhere fast, because no one is interested in a loudmouth ideologue telling them, the last Snow White, that was for 1938, or 1936, whatever the year it came out. Nobody wanted to hear that. This is 85 years ago. You got to start talking about me. It's about today, and my prince isn't a stalker. That was the last thing that Disney needed to come out and hit the airwaves. So they needed to push pause on that Snow White film. And that's a Snow White film they have spent reportedly $330 million on. So if they've spent that amount of money on that Snow White film, they need that thing to be a hit. And it can't just
No.
break even. They need that movie to be an absolute hit. So they're going to wait until all of the heat dies down from that film, and then they're going to bring that out. So those are a couple of films that have nothing to do with the strike. All right, it has zero to do with the strike. It has everything to do with they made a bad film, or poor planning, poor messaging that's gotten out about the film, and they have to, try to course correct and shift gears. And so, yeah, it's not always about the strike. It's not always about, the coof. Sometimes it's just because these companies are not doing things correctly. And they would be wise to pay attention to the problems that they are creating for themselves, instead of trying to look left and right and see, well, what other issues can we blame this on?
Well, and that is the problem, Derek. The problem is that Disney has identified they have a problem. We've seen that
Yep.
in their SEC filings. They know they have a real issue in that they are not connected with where the market is right now. They are
Yes.
not connected with their consumers, and yet the leadership doesn't want to change because they don't view in high esteem the consumers that they need to earn back. And so it's a very weird dichotomy. We're going to follow it. We will also, folks, be following the actual budgets for these films. So it will take us until 2025 to get the final numbers on Snow White using United Kingdom tax filings. But this year we will get final amounts for Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, as well as the Marvels, and we'll figure out, and we will declare here on this channel with a surety what was the biggest financial flop of all time, because one of those 2 films is number 1 and the other is number 2 in terms of biggest losses ever of any movie. Disney earned the top 2, and by the way, Disney knocked 6 movies out of the top 10 biggest flops of all time in just this year alone, something we never thought we would ever see. So for all of those out there who think Pro is just negative about Disney, no. This is what happens when we report honestly in a catastrophic year that's about to get worse. They have 3 proper films coming out. They have dropped off of the number 1 spot where they dominated. There is no guarantee that they will come back, and we will be following all of that because it's our job to tell the truth, keep you all ahead of the culture curve. Derek, you also do a fantastic job of that on your channel. Tell the folks out there what you've got coming up.
Oh, yeah. You guys can find me on Derek Anderson, the DA. I'll be streaming, of course, every Thursday night with EBN, the Echo Base Network crew. And then I also have my own live stream Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, the DA's office, where I just do the same thing. We honestly talk about what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on in entertainment, and we get the voice of the fan. That's kind of what I try to be, is the voice of the fan, and really tell you guys, hey, this is where I see things. What do you think? So that's what we got coming up, Pro. We got some always videos, daily videos. So you guys definitely come and check me out. We appreciate all the support.
Absolutely. Derek is killing it. An up and rising star on YouTube. 100%.
Pro, you're
Make
so
sure
nice.
you subscribe so you can say you were there when he was just beginning. You're a little bit past that at this point, folks, but you can still get in very early compared to where he will be in the not so distant future. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And if you're a member of the channel, stay tuned, because we will have videos and information and reviews out of the Mecum car auction, the largest car auction in the world, in Kissimmee, Florida, right here next to Walt Disney World. And so there is fun to be had in Central Florida. The American spirit is alive and well. Entrepreneurialism and fun and passion, all of that, we'll be covering it, but that will be member exclusive, at least for right now. Folks, we've got tons of stuff coming out on the channel. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you're subscribed. Keep coming back, and we'll keep you ahead of the culture curve. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Huh. Hey, Floral. I just wanted to let you know I have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Although, I don't want to say it. It might be like a wish. If I speak it, I'll break it.
Usually a resolution is spoken out loud so you can be held accountable to it. Like, my resolution is to go to thatparkplace.com and be ready to see its new facelift, and to make sure I'm always subscribed to guys like Jonas and Pro, Culture Casino, Lorena Creole, John Trent, all of them.
Well, I actually got Floyd Wilson to also make a resolution.
What's that?
I'd get in too much trouble if I repeated it. He took it way further than I feel comfortable repeating.
Well, that's probably a good call. But, what's yours?
It's not to say anything mean about Jonas.
How do you plan to do that? You're an idiot.